तस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुर्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामिनीति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. So thank you everyone for joining in for today's discussion. How many of you have been a regular audience of this Gita Unplugged program? Can you raise your hand high up? Who have been regularly attending? All right, so good. Subject matter will continue to make sense. So we are on the 9th chapter. We couldn't complete it last time. We did half of the discussion, so we'll take it forward from there. A quick recap of this chapter of what we have discussed so far. The acronym for this chapter, it has 34 verses. How many of you got a copy of Bhagavad Gita here? Raise your hand. So my humble request and a reminder for all of you again, those who are coming regularly, please do bring a copy of Bhagavad Gita so you go through the verses together. So your time is valued and you learn something. So there are 34 verses and the acronym for this chapter is given as KING, K-I-N-G, where K stands for knowledge. So we discussed that last time. Let's take a look at it briefly, which is verses 1 to 3, which begins with Lord Shri Krishna telling Arjuna, Arjuna, I'm about to tell you the most confidential knowledge. And we spoke about it, Guhya, Guhyatara, Guhyatamam. Like that, there was a discussion. So to understand this confidential knowledge, is there any prerequisites or qualification? And Krishna mentions in the verse, yes, non-envy. We discussed this point last time. Imagine Krishna speaking Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna. What would have happened? How Arjuna would have reacted like that? So, and then Krishna says in this section, in the second verse, what is the quality of this knowledge which I am giving you? Is the most confidential, but what is the characteristic? Raj Vidya, Raj Guhyam, Pavitram, Idam Uttamam. Those of you who have a book, go to the second verse. That is what I am quoting right now, 9.2. This is the king of the knowledge, Raj Vidya, Raj Guhyam, the most confidential. Raj Vidya, Raj Guhyam, Pavitram, Idam Uttamam. Pavitra means pure, Idam Uttamam means the supreme or transcendental. Like that. And one who understands this, Susukham Kartum Avvayam, makes his life all blissful. Susukham Kartum Avvayam. Avvayam means imperishable. It brings a sense of happiness and joy in life which only keeps on increasing. Avvayam, which means which never perishes. Like that, Lord Shri Krishna described here about the subject matter which Krishna is now telling Arjuna in this 9th chapter, or is about to tell. So Arjuna is so joyful, why doesn't everyone accept it? In other words, why don't you tell Kauravas? Why don't you tell Duryodhan? They should also hear. Why only I hear? Why not everyone hear? So then Lord Shri Krishna said, well, everyone cannot hear it because you require faith. People, when they hear my glories, they consider it to be a kind of a eulogy or kind of a false glorification. Those who have faith in me only can understand the subject matter. And to help people build faith on me, therefore, Arjuna, now I am going to tell you, which I have not discussed with you until now, is about my inconceivable relationship. In other words, how I as Krishna is the controller of everything that we look around. For example, if I ask you, who is a cause of your existence? A simple answer and a quick answer would be parents. Who is a immediate cause of your existence? Your parent gave you birth. Your parents gave you this body. Well, there is an immediate cause, which means your parents, but there is also a remote cause. How remote cause? How many of you here raise your hand if you did not choose your parents? You got my question? How many of you would agree and raise your hand if in case you did not selected your parents and family in which you took birth? Raise your hand. जिन्होंने हाथ खड़ा नहीं करा चयन किया था ये अंग्रेजी समझ नहीं आई or maybe I didn't say it rightly. So you all agree, which means you had no control on where and how you ended up in a family. All right. How many of your parents here? Raise your hand. How many of your parents here? Raise your hand high up. How many of you selected your child? Which one to born? If you agree, then raise your hand. If you do not agree, then don't raise your hand. So, well, none of us. Which means it's not a case of accident. Well, which means parents are just an immediate cause, not the remote cause and ultimate cause. Neither the parents chose you, nor you chose your parents. So how did you end up in this relationship with the parent and child, right? So immediate cause seems like to be an ultimate cause as parent, but beyond it, there is a remote cause, that is karma. Karmana daiva netrena jantur dehe utpatyaye. You understand or not understand the laws of karma function, and according to that, we keep getting our different bodies. But karma is also not independent. Karma is a law. If there is a law, there has to be a lawmaker. And that is said to be the ultimate cause. Immediate cause parents, remote cause karma. Who is the ultimate cause? The one who controls the law of karma. That is Krishna. This is called as inconceivable relationship, wherein Krishna is Aham Bija Pratapitaha. He says in 10th chapter, 14th chapter, I am the seed-giving father of every living entity, but you don't even know of it. Because of me, sarvasya chaham hidi sannivishtam mata smritir jnanam apohanam cha. Krishna says, because of me, I am residing in the heart of every living entity. Because of me, you have an ability to remember or to forget. It's because of whom? Krishna. But we even don't know of that. How many of you have an experience? You have an exam to write and you have a chit in your hand which you have been memorizing since morning. You know that this question is going to come. And you have memorized it 100 times. Anyone will ask you, you will immediately give an answer. The moment you enter the exam hall, you open the paper, the very first question is the same question. Now you don't remember the answer. Raise your hand. How many of you have that? So do you have the ability to recall or forget? Krishna says, Sarvasya chaham hidi sannivishtam mata smritir jnanam apohanam cha. This is the subject matter of inconceivable relationship. So last time I was giving you an example to help you understand this. Does anyone remember what example did I give you? It's one of the complicated and profound subject matter, but we gave a simple example to help you understand. Today I gave a different way of explaining this. What example did I give you? I gave an example of, imagine you're driving on a highway and suddenly a car passes out, he overtakes you and you'll be like, hey, how many of you will feel your ego is hurt? Somebody overtakes you. This happens when you're driving a car. You feel like, hey, how can he speed? I'm also speeding. Imagine you accelerate and you passes ahead of this car. At the moment you passing ahead of this car, how many of you agree? You're sure shot gonna look and see, कौन था ये जिसने मुझे overtake किया था? Raise your hand. We do that. Imagine if you look at that side and then you realize there is no driver on the driving seat. How many of you will be frightened? But the point is, there is no driver on the driving seat does not mean the car is not driving. A car is remote control. There are, driverless cars which are under little testing now. This is called an inconceivable, because you don't understand, you're frightened. But there is a mechanism by which that car is functioning. Similarly, this whole creation is functioning because It is under the purview of the Supreme Personality, Godhead. You don't understand, that's a different thing. And that is a point that Krishna mentions about inconceivable relationship. And he makes this point, please repeat. Mayadhyakshena prakritihi suyate sacharacharam. सुबह से खाया नहीं है थोड़ा जोश looks like fasting. There is no occasion for fasting. Please say it loudly. Mayadhyakshena prakritihi suyate sacharacharam hetunanena kaunteya jagat viprarivartate. Maya adhyakshena, adhyaksh, sabhapati adhyaksh. This Maya is under Maya adhyakshena prakriti. It is Maya means my adhyakshata. This material nature functions under whose guidance? My controllership. Maya adhyaksha means I am the sabhapati, I am the adhyaksh. Suyate sa chara acharam. One which is moving, one which is stationary. Everyone is controlled by Prakriti and Prakriti is controlled by me. You may look and say, oh, sun is giving the sunlight. But who is giving that energy to the sunlight? Krishna says, I am that. Maya adhyakshena prakriti. Because of me, the whole nature is functioning. Hetunanena kaunteya jagat viprari vartate. And I am that cause. We'll come back to the subject matter in a short time. So moving forward, Arjuna pondered, oh my dear Lord, well, if in case this is what, you are the cause of everything, then why do people despise you? And you have said about yourself, scriptures mentions about you, why people still fail to understand. And here comes a very important subject matter which we briefly discussed last time. We'll elaborate a little bit today. Lord Shri Krishna talks about two categories of people, or let's say first category of people, those who see me, who know me, yet they would not accept me. Example, Shishupal. Didn't he saw Krishna face to face? Didn't he met Krishna face to face? Wasn't he aware of the pastimes of Krishna that he performed in Vrindavan? How he was 2 days old, he killed Putana, how he killed Trinavritra? Was Shishupal not aware of it? Everyone was aware. Was Duryodhana not aware of it? Was Kamsa not aware of it? Was Jarasandha not aware of it? Bhaumasura was not aware of it? What they not aware of? What Krishna have done? Despite Krishna being physically and personally present, you had a person like Dantavakra who was telling people, I am original Krishna. And he had mounted 2 artificial hands. And he was holding Shankh, Chakra, Padama and Gada. And when he met face to Krishna, and he said, hey Krishna, you cheat. This Sudarshan Chakra which you're holding is not yours, it is mine. Give it to me. Krishna said, all right, Sudarshan, go. And he chopped off the head. You want it, take it now. So, I mean, can you imagine when the Lord is even personally present, then people don't accept it? What to speak about people? Now, when Lord is not personally present, how much conflict would be there? So, but situation is still the same. So, Krishna answers. What is it? He says, please repeat after me. Avajananti mamura manusham tanamashritam param bhavam ajananto mama bhuta maheshwaram. Avajananti mamura manusham tanumashritam. Manusham tanumashritam. When I appear as a human form, then those who are fools, avajananti mam, they deride me. Avajananti means jananti to know. Avajananti means जानते हुए भी मना कर देते हैं. कौन है ये लोग? मूर्ख हैं ये लोग. Param bhavam ajananto. Param bhava means situation. They do not know my supremacy or my position. Mama bhuta maheshwaram. And what is the situation? Mama bhuta. Bhut means material energy, everything. Maha Ishwaram, not Ishwar. Very beautiful if you start analyzing Sanskrit and pay attention to it. Maha Ishwar. Somebody may be Ishwar. Krishna says, Mama Bhut Maha Ishwara. I am the Maha Ishwara. I am the Supreme Personality. Krishna himself is saying here. And the fools do not recognize. Even if they know I am that, but they would not accept it. Why they would not accept it? Only for one reason, because I have taken a form like that of a human. Does anyone remember what reasoning that I gave last time? Why people cannot accept if the Lord appears in a human form? Mike, please. We have Mike, Abhishek. One of you, the boys, can act as a volunteer. Give them the mic. Yeah, Abhishek. We can have college boys do that. They can move around. Should have raised your hand. Yes, Mother, go ahead.
They're jealous of Krishna, or they want to be Krishna.
Okay, and why are they envious of Krishna?
Because they are not like him and they try to be like him.
Okay, what else? What did I say? What more did I say? There's particularly mentioned, envy is okay, but there's particularly mentioned because Manushim Tanuvashitam, I appear like a human form, in a human form.
They were considering themselves as God.
They were considering, what else?
They are human, so I am also human.
Yes. I was making a point, you're IT engineer here, when how much ever you may be upset or envious of your fellow engineer who might have got only 500 rupees hike more than you, but you will not be ever upset with Elon Musk if he makes millions of dollars every day, more than you. Yes? But you should actually be envious of him because he's successful. But we poor people are become generally envious of some local fellow. Why? Because there's a familiarity. So the envy generally manifests in known relationships, not amongst unknown. Yes or no? There's so many successful people walking on the street. You look at them, you become envious. But the one who is known to you, we often tend to become envious. How many of you agree with this observation? Yes or no? So when Krishna says, Manusham Tanuvashitam, which means because I come in a human form of life, they'll say, Are, ye manushya ho ke Bhagwan? Hum manushya ho ke Bhagwan kyun nahi ho sakte? तो एक कहते हैं भगवान नहीं है, दूसरा कहता है तुम भी भगवान मैं भी भगवान, दोनों मिलकर शोषण करेंगे. इनको कहा जाता है आज के मॉडर्न डे गुरुस. There are a lot of spiritual organization which teaches you, do this meditation, pranayam, etc. You will become God. I am God. You are God. Both will party. God like this. Giriraj Maharaj is known as Giriraj Swami Maharaj. He was recently visiting. He mentions about his first interaction with His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. And largely audience are more into this idea when they read spiritual books. They generally present an idea, you do this, you'll also become God. And it's a very saleable idea. Can you imagine if you write a book which tells you if you read this, you will become God? What a great motivational book. And if you write a book which tells you if you read this book, you will become a good servant. What a demoralizing book. Isn't it? That's what Bhagavad Gita is. You become a good quality servant. So then he went to Giriraj Maharaj, young guy, I believe his name was Bruce or something, studying in Boston University in Boston. And first meeting he was having with Swami Srila Prabhupada. And he challenged at the end of the class, Swamiji, but I think I am God. Prabhupada said, well, if you think you are God, it is your problem, but we don't think you are God. Let me give you a reason. Why would Krishna want to have a competition? Krishna would not facilitate any competition. And if he would not want a competition, then he would not give Bhagavad Gita, because of which reading you will become God. Because you're saying you're God because you can read Bhagavad Gita and become God. Why would Krishna give any knowledge because of which he get competitors? Well, in a lighter sense, because people can understand. So he understood a point. And secondly, what makes you think even in your wildest dream that you could ever be God? Are you growing old? Yes. Do you fall sick? Yes. Do you have stomach problems? Yes. Do you ever get headache? Yes. Do you fall sick? He said, yes. All the problems you are saying, yes. Still you think you are God, what can be done? So that's the point. So fools deride me. Then Arjuna asked, my dear Lord, what happens to such fools? What is their destination? Krishna said, yes, let me tell you what is the destination. Who reject Moga Shamoga Karmano. These are words spoken by Krishna. They have tremendous potency. Just when we recite, it transforms our consciousness. Don't be miser. I'm pretty sure there will be people telling you, बहुत बोलते हो, चुप हो जाओ. I'm telling you, bolo. So please recite this shloka. Don't shy away. Even if you pronounce it wrongly, there's no problem. But at least try doing so, okay? Mogha shamogha karmanu मोघज्ञाना विचेतसः राक्षसं आसुरं चैव प्रकृतिं मोहिनं श्रितः. So Krishna says, Moghasha, Mogha Karmano, Mogha Jnana Vichesasa. In short, such people who reject the Supreme Personality of Godhead, at the end of the day, regardless of how intelligent, how affluent, how kind hearted they may be in the eyes of some people, they would end up committing the most abominable activities. Moghasha Mogha Karamano Mogha Jnana Vichetasa, and their whole knowledge becomes corrupted. And I was giving you examples. Ravana was a son of a Brahmana. I was telling you how Ravana had performed obnoxious activities with his own relatives, family members. Hiranyakashipu was a son of a Brahmana. All these people, although born in a high birth, had a great learning, knew the scriptures, yet because they had envy towards the Lord, they became entirely demonic. Later on, the 16th chapter, we'll read there are two kinds of people in this creation, divine and demoniac. How many of you have ever gone to astrologer? Or how many of you have your child, वो कहते हैं बर्थ चार्ट होता है ना, तो उसमें लिखा होता है आपके असुरिक गुण हैं, मनुष्य गुण हैं, so you know where are you coming from. Okay, so now you know where you're coming from, now you know where you have to go. There's a big journey to travel. Those of you who have that astrological chart, you understood my point here. So Arjuna pondered, my dear Lord, who are those who respect you as Krishna? The Lord Shri Krishna said, well, Arjuna, they are called as Mahatmas, not Gandhi. That is another case study. All right? Not that Krishna is speaking about Gandhi ji in Bhagavad Gita. No wonder there will be some followers saying that, देखो हमारे उनका नाम है भगवद गीता में, ऐसा नहीं है. Okay? उनके लक्षण भी बताने वाले कैसे थे जो हमारे इनके नहीं थे वैसे. Let's take a look at it. महात्मानस्तु मां पाता दैवं प्रकृतिमाश्रितः भजन्ति अनन्या मनसो ज्ञात्वा भूतादिमव्ययाम्. Let's take a look at Sanskrit here quickly. Mahatmanas tu mam partha. They are called as Mahatmas. Why? Devi Prakriti Ashritaha. Ashrita means shelter. They are under the shelter of Devi Prakriti. So there is a divine energy. We are, just to understand who we are, Krishna in the 7th chapter have declared who we are. He talks about inferior energy and superior energy. Bhumirapo Nalovayu. Those of you who have a book, go to 7th chapter, verse number 4 and verse number 5. Yeah. Or 7.5 or 7.6. 7.4, 7.5. Bhumirapo Nalovayu Khammano Buddhir Evacha Ahankara Ityam Me Bhinna Prakriti Ashtadha. ये जो 8 मेरे सेपरेटेड एनर्जीज हैं. प्रकृति मीन्स एनर्जी. क्या है? अर्थ, वाटर, फायर, एयर, ईथर. How many of you agree with these 5 elements, earth, water, fire, air, ether? This body is made of these 5 elements. Raise your hand. Whose property it is? Krishna says, this is my energy. Then Krishna says, Bhumir apo nalo vayu kham manha buddhi. Kham means ether. Mana means mind. Intelligence. Buddhi means intelligence. How many of you agree you have these 3 also? You have what you call as ether means space. Hey, earth, water, fire, ether. No. Kham means false ego. Sorry. Oh, that ho gaya. False ego, mind, intelligence. How many of you say we have mind is there? Intelligence, of course, and false ego. So we have that. Whose energy it is? Krishna says it's my energy. Aparayam itastu anyam prakritir ashtada. What is the next line? Aparayam itastu anyam prakritim vidime param. Prakritim vidime param. Know that what I have told you is inferior energy of mine, and there is another energy which is superior energy, and that is the living entities. So, when the word Prakriti is used, we are also Prakriti. There are 2 kinds of Prakriti. Krishna have described in the 7th chapter. Earth, water, fire, ether, mind, intelligence, false ego. This is called as dead matter. And then there is a superior energy which is called living entity. And now Krishna says, these superior energy, those who I call as Mahatmas, those who function under my divine energy. Devim Prakriti Mashitaha. So these living entities who are superior energy, when they take shelter of my divine energy, spiritual energy, which means Srimati Radharani, then they function under her, then they are said to be Mahatmas. What they do? Bhajanti Ananaya Manaso. Gyatva Bhutadim Avyam. Gyatva Bhutadim Avyam. Knowing me, Bhutadi, I am the source of all. Adi means source. Gyatva Bhutadim Avyam. Knowing me to be the supreme of everything. Bhajanti Ananya Manaso. They engage their mind in rendering devotional service unto me. They engage their mind, they plan how they can re-establish their relationship with the Supreme Personality Godhead, who is actually our original mother and father. Every life, every birth that we accept, we have so many new relationships created. Every birth gives us a set of parents, brothers, and sisters. Every birth gives us a set of relatives. You grow up, set of friends, you get married, wife, husband, set of kids, extended family members. You pass away, again take a birth, another set of family members, another set of friends, another set of your immediate husband, wife, kids, and whatnot. Every life, this whole pattern goes on. It keeps changing depending on you born in human life or animal life, birds, beasts, whatnot. But one relation remains consistently, constantly. That is Krishna being your eternal mother and father. So those who understand this, recognize this and function in this manner, they are called as Mahatmas. Oh, Arjuna thought, my dear Lord, how can I recognize them? Well, yes, you can recognize them. Krishna says, Kirtayantaha Dradavrataha Namasyanta Nityayukta. I have mentioned the four adjectives which are used in this verse. These are the qualities about them. What are the qualities? Kirtayantaha. Such an individual you will always find chanting. They love. Have you ever come across a lover or a beloved? Somebody falls in love with someone, they cannot stop talking about them. They always want to speak about their beloved. Yes or no? Just like mother and child relationship. How much mother loves to talk about the child and how much mother loves hearing about her child. Yes or no? That's the nature of love. Kirtayantaha. When you love, fall in love with Lord, what will you do? You would love to talk, love to chant about him. That's a simple thing. Kirtayanta. Dradavrataha, with a fixed vow. Life in this world is like a pulse. If you ever go in a hospital, when they set your pulse, it goes up and down. Life in this world is like that pulse, which is always going to go up and down. Arjuna in the battlefield, despite standing next to Krishna, it's not that every day in a battlefield he came back victorious. Few days, Pandavas had to face defeat. Few days, Kauravas had to face defeat. At the end of the day, Kauravas were defeated. Krishna was present when Abhimanyu was killed. Krishna was present when many other Pandavas and their relatives were killed. Krishna was present. Krishna knew what's going to happen on the 18th night. When Pandavas' 5 sons were killed and the rest of the army was killed. Krishna was physically present in Kurukshetra. Ups and downs are part of life. Why? Because we have taken a shelter of something which is always shaky and temporary. Imagine you're standing on a platform which is floating on a water. Would it be shaky? The moment there is a wave, would you begin to shake? When you have taken a false shelter, how can you have stability? Therefore, we are always surrounded with a problem. So, Dridvrataha, with a fixed vow, whatever happens, he does not waver. His determination does not waver. Namasyantaha, always offering obeisances means always having a heart of gratitude. So victory comes, thank you, Krishna. Unfortunate incident happens, my dear Lord, what is the lesson for me? What you want me to teach? He does not lose honor, gratitude, doesn't ask question to Krishna, saying that, why did you do this to me? It's not that Krishna is our doorkeeper who's going to protect us all the time. Nitya Yukta, and like that, he is always engaged in the service of the Lord. Many times people ask, how do I know who is my Guru? What are the qualities of Guru? These are the qualities of Guru. These are the qualities of a genuine devotee. If you want to find out who is a genuine person, Kirtayanta, Dardvataha, Namasyanta, Nityayukta. Therefore, in Vedic culture, there is a understanding of how to find a Guru. You study the character of an individual. You stay and spend time with him and learn about him. And that spiritual master will also observe you to understand your qualification to be fit as disciple. After talking like this, let's move forward to next subject matter. So far Krishna spoke about somebody who does not take shelter and one who takes shelter, Naradama or Mahatma. Now Krishna talks about other types of worshippers. The market is vast. Lot of opportunities for a lot of people to come up as god and goddesses. That's the point. So there are a lot of worshippers of different things. Now this is a very important subject matter. We are living in a society or a civilization where over a period of time there's a lot of hodgepodge has happened. Nobody knows who is God. Everyone is God. God is here. God is there. Where is God? So there's a lot of confusion about it. And Krishna makes it clear what it is. Krishna says, some people say God is in the deity, God is in our heart, which means stone is also God. As stone is, deity is made up of stone. Because God is in our heart, you are in heart, which means you are also God, I am also God. That is a concept of ekatvana. Krishna says, well, this is incorrect understanding. Then prataktvena. Then they say, well, it's not only human being can be a God. The Lord is residing as super soul in the heart of a plant, tree, bird, beast. Everyone is God. Yes, everyone is a part and parcel of God, but does not mean everyone is God. There is a hierarchy, there is an understanding. But they misunderstand that and they consider anything and everything as to be worshipable. Now, how many of you know the deities are made up of stone? All of you know. Because deities are made up of stone, does it mean every stone becomes a deity? Yes or no? Yes or no? Now prove it. We do प्राण प्रतिष्ठा. अरे राम लल्ला का प्राण प्रतिष्ठा होता. What is what प्राण प्रतिष्ठा? अभी न्यूज में बहुत आया प्राण प्रतिष्ठा. प्राण की प्रतिष्ठा कर दी गई. मतलब आप ये कह रहे हो तंत्र मंत्र के माध्यम से हमने पत्थर में जान फूंक दी. What is प्राण प्रतिष्ठा? Okay, that's Vedic understanding. What else? All of you scientific mindset people, before Pran Pratishtha concept, you would have visited temple. There is a stone slab carved into a deity which is worshipped. That may be a marble, and you may be standing on a marble also. So some marble you worship as Lord, and some marble you're standing on, putting your feet. What is the difference? Okay, Pran Pratishtha 1. What else is the difference? Have you ever wondered? And Srila Prabhupada ji gives a very simple answer to explain this concept. And he gives an example. You remember in our childhood days, may not be now, whenever we had to send a letter or some written communication, we'll write it and put it as a letter and go to the post office and put it in the mailbox. Well, some of us will go to the post office, or else the post office had their own designated post boxes in different areas of the society. Remember the black color hat and the red color box? You go and put it into it. Now imagine somebody is a smart fellow. He thinks, "Arey, why to travel such a long distance? Why don't I tell a carpenter and ask him to make a duplicate copy of that post box, and put it outside my house? The mail, what? Huh? The postman will come. He will see the same black color, same red color, same text. He'll come and pick it up from here also, and he'll drop my mail here. Would it happen? Yes or no? Would not happen. Well, it looks same. Why would not happen? It is stone slab. This is also stone. Looks same, but why would not happen? The pujari will not come and worship. Pujari will worship. The postman will not come to your house, but postman will go to there. Why? Why? Because that post box is authorized by the government of India. Similarly, that deity worship becomes authorized through the process of Pran Pratishtha by the authority, Sadhu Mahant. By the government, the post office become authorized. Because they, Sadhu says, "My dear Lord, be present here," the Lord comes there. But they didn't say, "Be present here." If they would have said, they would have worshipped here. Are you getting it? That's the difference over here. Prataktvena, but they fail to understand. And then Bahuda Vishwato Mukham, they say universal form of the Lord is they worship, some of them worship like that. So, moving forward. If Krishna is that one God, what about others? अगर कृष्णा इज दैट सुप्रीम पर्सनालिटी, हमारे यहाँ तो कमी नहीं है. अगर आपके घर में भी जाएंगे ऑल्टर में, देयर विल बी नाइस कंपटीशन, यू नो, देयर विल बी गुड. वी ऑल हैव सीन दैट, and it's a beautiful altar, no doubt about it. But have you wondered sometimes when you get up in the morning, किसको पहले मैं धूप दिखाऊं? If I show it to one, other might feel little offended, ना? क्या है daily उसको दिखाते, कभी कभी मुझे भी दिखानी चाहिए. How many of you have that ever confusion in your mind? You know, यार किसको मैं पहले करूं? और किसको ऊपर रखूं, किसको नीचे रखूं, किसको साइड में रखूं, कहीं जो साइड वाला बुरा तो नहीं मान जाएगा. How many of you have that confusion while doing your worship? Many things happen. So if Krishna is that one God, what happens to others? So there is a fourth tattva. Tattva means truth. There are four realities of life: Vishnu tattva, Shambhu tattva, Shakti tattva, and a Jiva tattva. Vishnu means Vishnu, Narayan, Krishna. These are all Vishnu tattva. Lord Ram, Nasimha, Vamana, Vara, all that Vishnu tattva. Jiva tattva is all of us from Brahma to an ant on the ground is all Jiva tattva. Then Brahma, except for Shivji and Parvati, every else, all the devatas, they come under Jiva tattva. Then there is Shakti tattva, which is a feminine concept of the Lord. And there is Shambhu tattva, who we also call as Shiva, all auspicious. Who we also call as Rudra, the ferocious one. Have different names like that. Let's quickly take a look at the subject matter, Vishnu tattva. All right, how many of you have heard the word Vishnu before? Raise your hand. Every one of you. Second question. How many of you know the different types of Vishnu? How many types of Vishnu are there? Don't raise those who have attended this before. Those of you who have attended this before, don't raise your hand. How many types of Vishnu are there? If you think one could be a good answer. If I think more, then give. So one Vishnu types ka matlab kya hai? One Vishnu only. But no, my dear friends, there's not one Vishnu. There are three categories of Vishnu. Narad Muni in Narad Pancharatra speaks. विष्णु स्तु त्रिणी रूपाणी, तीन रूपों में विष्णु अवतार लेते हैं. पुरुषाख्यानि अथो विदुः, एकम तु महता सृष्ट, द्वितां तु अंड संस्थितम, तृतीयम सर्वभूतस्थम, तानि ज्ञात विमुच्यते. I'll explain this Sanskrit. Let's begin with the तृतीयम. Who is the तृतीय? सर्वभूतस्थम, वह सभी जीवात्माओं में स्थित है परमात्मा के रूप में. Is that simple Sanskrit? Okay. Let's go to द्वितीयम. द्वितीयम तु अंड संस्थितम. And the second Vishnu is situated within Anda. What is that Anda? That is our universe. Universe is said to be a egg-shaped Anda. Anda Samsthitam. This second Vishnu appears in the universe. That is called as Garbhodaksha Vishnu, from whose Garbha comes lotus, on which Brahmaji is born. Then Vishnu's tu Trini Rupani, Purushakhyani Atho Vidhu, Ekam tu Mahata. And who is the first one? Is known as Mahavishnu, from whom the original creation takes place. Let me put it in this English form here. So first is Mahavishnu, who creates the total mental energy, Garbhodaksha Vishnu, which enters each universe, and Krishirodaksha Vishnu, which enters and becomes Paramatma. These are three categories of Vishnu Tattva. Vishnu Tattva and Jiva Tattva. How Vedic scriptures or Upanishad defines our creation, or the, what you can say, chronology of the Lord to the living entity. Krishnaha, what is that? Ekha kalaha pumsa Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. So from him, first expansion Balram. From Balram, the second expansion is called Chatur Vyuha. Vasudev, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha. Then comes Narayana, Lakshmi, Narayan. And from Narayan comes the second Chaturvyuha expansion. Vasudev, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, Aniruddha. And from him, Sankarshan, from Sankarshan here, out of the four, expands Mahavishnu, from whom creation takes place. And in every creation, Garbhodaksha Vishnu enters into this Anda, egg-shaped universe. And in that, Brahmaji is lying, from whose navel comes, Vishnu is lying as Garbhodaksha, from whose navel comes lotus on top, where is Brahmaji. Therefore, his name is Garbhodaksha Vishnu. And then in that universe, there is Paramatma, who resides as, there is Shirodaksha Vishnu, who resides as Paramatma. This is what happens in the material world, and then material world is infested or invested with living entities like this. So the Lord takes different forms for different purposes. Lord Narasimhadev had a particular purpose. At that point of time, Varahadev would not have suited the pastime. Imagine if Prahlad said, "Yes, my dear Lord, my Lord is in the pillar." In place of Nrsimhadev, imagine Vamanadev would have appeared. You know Vamanadev? The dwarf incarnation, 5-year-old Brahmana boy holding a stick and क्या कहते हैं भिक्षाम देहि. सोचो हिरण्यकाशिपु के क्रोध में आके उसने जब गदा से खंबा तोड़ा, उधर से 5 साल का बच्चा निकलता और हिरण्यकाशिपु बोलता भिक्षाम देहि. तो वो प्रहलाद को क्या बोलते, अरे तूने अपने दोस्त को छुपा के रखा हुआ है, तो भी 5 साल का, वो भी 5 साल का, कौन सा भगवान है? बट हु अपीयर्ड half man, half lion, because the terms and condition of Brahma's vows or blessings had to be fulfilled. That's how Vishnu Tattva. They appeared for different purposes. Then what is Shakti Tattva? That refers to Radharani, Sita Devi, Mahalakshmi, Lakshmi, Durga, etc. All the feminine aspects have come through Shakti Tattva. Then we have Shambhu Tattva. I have spoken elaborately last year also during the Savan Mahina. Every year we speak on different aspects of Lord Shiva, explaining who is he, in how many forms he appears, etc. So Shiva is not God, but neither a living entity, ordinary living entity. He is called Shambhu. It is Sankarshan, from whom Garbhodaksha Mahavishnu comes. It is that same Sankarshan who explains himself as Shambhu, who gets in contact with the material energy, because his responsibility is to cause destruction. You at least know the Trinity. Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh. At least आपने सीरियल्स में देखा होगा, इतना तो सुना ही होगा. There is Trinity. Brahma ji creates, Vishnu ji maintains. Who destroys? And that raw form is called as Nataraj when he does Tandav. So he destroys. So Sankarshan, from Garbhodaksha Vishnu comes Brahma. He's a son. So which means is Lord Vishnu expanding himself in different forms to fulfill different functionality. That's the idea. And then Jiva Tattva, all of us here, and of all those temples that we have, except for Vishnu Tattva, Shambhu Tattva, and Shakti Tattva. Out of these 3 categories, all are Jiva Tattvas. Yes, Devatas are extremely important and extremely advanced personalities. Because of the great piety, they have been chosen as administrators of universal affairs. And they directly work under the guidance of Lord Vishnu. Their authority is directly Vishnu, so they are very advanced. When they perform yajna, Vishnu personally will appear. When they have marriage ceremony, Lord Vishnu personally appear in their marriage ceremony. So they're very advanced. From that understanding, we offer all our respects to them. But technically speaking, they're Jiva Tattva. Example, you may say, what example do you have? I'll quote example from Mahabharata. One of the great ancestors of Pandavas or Pandus of the Kauravas was a king by the name of Nahusa. At one point of time, this whole story comes in the 6th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Indra had committed a great offense by killing a Brahmana. Twice he did. Once he did to his own spiritual master, then he did it to Vratrasura. And then because of which he was afflicted by great sin. And to hide away from the sin, he ran up to a place, what is this, Lord Shiva's place? Kailash Parvat ke. What is that pond near Kailash Parvat? Mansarovar. That is the lake of Mother Lakshmi. That's the lake where Mother Lakshmi resides. So he went and took shelter of Mother Lakshmi at Mansarovar, and he hid at the bottom of Mansarovar in a lotus to save himself from that sin. Because he was not there on his position of being the king. Indra means, you understand the basic meaning of word Indra? The king. Indra means king. Because he was not there in his position, Surya, Varuna, etc. They wanted a king, a replacement. But what is the requirement to become Indra? So just like we have a public vote, would declare who becomes the minister, chief minister, and the prime minister. What determines you become Indra is your piety. At least must have performed 100 Ashwamedh Yajna. Who can hit 100 Ashwamedh Yajna, they're sure shot in next life becoming Indra. That's the terms and condition like that. So they were looking around, they couldn't find anyone. Surya Devta, Varuna, Vayu, Ityadi. They come to the assembly of Hastinapur and they requested King Nahusa. Said, my dear King Nahusa, our position of King Indra is empty because of the background that I briefly narrated to you. We need a king. Because Praja without a king is said to be Anath. We need our Nath. None of us are qualified to become the King Indra. But your piety qualifies you to become Indra. So Nahusa was one of the ancestors of Pandavas. Pandavas are human like us. Kauravas are human like us. So their ancestor Nahusa, he became the next king. Although in the beginning he rejected. No, that's very, very dangerous position because I would get. So on the position of Indra, every post brings certain advantages, certain benefits. So what is the benefit at the post of Indra? When you sit on the post of Indra, you acquire 50% or more strength of everyone else, which makes you the most strongest and the powerful person. And Nahusa said, because I would acquire unimaginable amount of power and wealth, I'm fearful I may become proud and I may commit aparadh and fall down. And that's what happened eventually later on. That's a story which I don't want to get too much details. So who was Indra? Nahusa became Indra, means Jiva became. So I'm giving you one example from history which tells you how Jivatmas and Devatas, they all Jiva Tattva. Is that making sense? But it's not because they're Jiva Tattva, so now we'll begin to, again envy them. Just like Krishna said, Avajananto Mam Muda Manushim Tanu Mashita. No. We respect them, we offer our obeisances to them because they're invested with great powers and they maintain the universal affairs. If a chief minister has to come to your house, would you offer some respect despite of whatever party he or she may be? But the post demands some respect. Similarly, if Devta's temple you go, shouldn't we offer respect? So devotees actually are the true people who knows how to offer proper respect. On the name of worship, we don't celebrate Ganesh Chaturthi और एक हफ्ते जिसका पूजा करा है उसको एक हफ्ते के बाद शायद ऐसी कुछ होता है ना ऐसा कहाँ लिखा है that you once you establish a deity after a week, isn't that a little aparadh? You think about it a little logically. Once you have established a deity, can you ever remove that deity? Where is an historical example जहाँ पे विग्रह की स्थापना करी हो और उसको एक हफ्ते का हटा दिया हो? Any reference comes to your mind? Yes, पिछले साल का गणेश चतुर्थी. That time we saw only. And उससे पिछले साल का इतिहास में कहाँ लिखा है कि एक बार भगवान को बिठाने के बाद according to the laws of the country, the moment you establish a deity, that land belongs to a deity now. You might have come across this in a Ram Lalla case. So the owner of the land is not a trust. The owner of the land is Ram Lalla. And according to the law of country, once a character of that land has been identified that this land belongs to the deity, for time immemorial, nobody can claim that land to be theirs. Are you aware of this thing? This was a major premises on which we won the case. To establish this is Ram's place, then Ram's deity, then, just to establish. And how did you establish? To prove that how from the beginning of the time there had been worship happening on this land. And that was a major historical record that they had to provide. And therefore, if you see, if in case you're aware of it, for example, in our Gyan Vapi case, that's the reason they're trying to establish worship. And back in 93, the government then stopped the worship in the mosque, which had been happening until 93. But post 92 riots, they stopped it. And after just a couple of months ago, after 93, that worship started right underneath a mosque which they call as Vyas Gufa. I mean, you might wonder, क्या बाहर जगह कम है जो नीचे जाकर उस मस्जिद के नीचे जाके आप पूजा करोगे? Because that helps establishing the character of that land. If the worship had been going on here for centuries, to whom does it belong? To the deity. That's the idea of it. Anyways, why did I got into it? I don't know. But the point I was making, what was the point I was making? I got a little history involved. I was saying, how can you once establishing a deity, do we have any other festival in a year we do like that? Huh? That's another Durga Puja also. Navaratri is very interesting. That's the time we do Garba also, right? Does anyone know what is Garba? Garbha. When mother becomes pregnant, it's called Garbha. This culture started back in Rajasthan and Gujarat, just to celebrate when the young girls will become of a marriageable age. To celebrate that, they would have this Garbha ceremony, which means now they are of marriageable age, which means now they can give birth to life. So this was a festival which was exclusively and only meant for ladies. There was no male involvement and requirement. Look at the nature and character of that festival today. I don't want to go on everything, but I'm just giving a little history. We do something we should know. Isn't it interesting? The name itself says Garba dance. What is the word Garba means? इतना तो संस्कृत पता है ना गर्भ का मतलब क्या होता है? When a girl becomes, which means teenage, that was a celebration to celebrate motherhood. And that Navaratri, every day there's a worship of Lakshmi, Saraswati, different forms of feminine divinity or divine power. And in that occasion only, one of the day was celebrated as this Garba dance, like that. I don't remember the exact sequence, but all of you probably familiar with that. All right, Hare Krishna. कुछ ज़्यादा ही तत्व हो गया. Okay. All right. Vishnu Tattva, Shakti Tattva, Shambhu Tattva, and Jeeva Tattva. Okay, if Krishna is one God, who are Devatas? Who are Devatas? Let's take a look at it. What would be an administration structure of a company? Well, there would be a sales head, finance head, marketing head, purchase head, country head, R&D head, support head, accounts head. So now just to run a company, you may have 5,000, 10,000, 20,000 employees. You need a lot of departments. The bigger the company, to that much degree, your management increases, isn't it? Now, similarly, to run a small town, village, whatnot, you have so many government officials in different categories. Imagine you have such a huge universe. Wouldn't it require some administrators? Yes or no? Let's figure out who are those administrators. Do you know of them or not? All right. So, administration structure of the universe. If I ask you, Urja department के हमारे minister कौन होंगे? Electricity minister. In this universal affair, who do you think would be electricity minister? अरे वाह, सब कुछ जानते हो आप लोग? देखो, Surya the sun god. Yes or no? He provides electricity. All right. Who would be the construction minister? हाँ? आपके घर के निर्माण की बात नहीं हो रही. इस यूनिवर्स के निर्माण की बात हो रही है. ब्रह्मा, primary or secondary creator. All right. Okay. Who is the water minister? हाँ? इंद्रदेव पक्का? इंद्रदेव वाटर मिनिस्टर नहीं है. इंद्रदेव रेन मिनिस्टर है. वाटर मिनिस्टर इज वरुणा. करेक्ट? वरुणा द ओशन गॉड. ओके. अब ये थोड़ा हिंदी में आएगा. जल वितरण मंत्री इंद्र, देवताओं के राजा. Okay, maybe they are not coming in a sequence now. Answers are given now. You all know. Urja Mantri, Agni. Vayu Mantri, Vayu, Pavan Devta. Graha Mantri, Amit Shah. Who would be Graha Mantri of this universe? Graha Mantri, Home Minister. That's a good one. Let's see who cracks it. Who would be Graha Mantri? Shiva. No, Lord Shiva. He is a destructive minister. हाँ? होम मिनिस्टर डंडा मारता है जो सबको, बदमाशों को जेल में ही बंद रखता है. दुर्गा, हरि बोल. द नेम इटसेल्फ मींस दुर्गा. गा मींस गमना, जो आपको इस जेल से रिहा होने में आसानी ना करने दे. You know, who punishes you. दुर्गम, दुर्गा गमन, like that. दुर्गा देवी. अगली बार पूजा करते हुए ध्यान से सोचना, हाँ, क्या मांग रहे हो. ओके. सो हु इज द रक्षा मंत्री? होम मिनिस्टर तो हो गया. रक्षा मंत्री हनुमान जी, वो तो राम जी के टाइम में थे भाई, वो तो बैठे हुए अयोध्या में. हु इज द रक्षा मंत्री? गणपति. कार्तिकेय, राइट. कार्तिकेय, राइट, isn't it? Remember why did Kartikeya was born? All the devatas went along with Kama Devata to Lord Shiva, and he opened his third eye, and Kamdevta since then doesn't have a body only. So the whole pastime, and later on then through Parvati and Lord Shiva, Kartikeya was born. All right. Who is the head of Shiksha Mantralaya? See, all of you know already. We're just connecting the dots. Not that I'm teaching you something new. You all know about this. We're just connecting dots. When we have ministers in our administration, why wouldn't have ministers in the universal affairs? All right. Who is Manav? I'll make it in English. Who is the head of HR department, Human Resources Department? Who allocates resources to different departments? Human resources. Huh? Kuber, he's a wealth minister. Human resources. Yamaraj. He only tells you where to go next. Okay, okay. Anyways, हो गया. अब ये विपत्ति हरण मंत्री ये मैंने हिंदी में लिखा हुआ है. गणेश जी, all right. वित्त मंत्री and all that. Those are examples. I hope you got it. Okay, so what is the difference between Supreme Lord and the Devatas? These are the difference. Criteria: Supreme Lord is one. Devatas are 330 million. जिसको कहते हैं 33 करोड़. उसको कोई लोग आज कहते हैं 33 टाइप के. Whatever. Criteria post, eternally the Supreme Lord. Devatas is temporary. Like Indra, he moved out of his position, then Nahusa became the next Indra. Like that, it's temporary. Changes. Residence, spiritual world. Devatas, just like we live in the universe, material universe, they also stay in material universe. Activity. If you ever go to Krishna's temple, have you ever seen him doing anything else than dancing and smiling? Anyone? How many of you have seen Krishna only as smiling and dancing? Raise your hand. Raise your hand. Pakka? Now, maybe when you look at Ramji, you might see him holding a bow and arrow. You know, he may have one or two poses because he had one vase and whatnot. But have you ever seen Krishna in any other form than holding a flute? Either he's holding a flute to his mouth or he's holding a cow stick and looking at you and smiling. That is spiritual world. Place of happiness, place of enjoyment. So you'll not see Krishna stressed out, sweating, बहुत मेहनत करनी है, लोगों का कल्याण करना है. That all administrative duty comes to Devatas. They are the one who do that. Therefore, you will hear all the conflicting stories about Devatas only. किसी ने यहाँ वहाँ पंगा कर दिया है. And the form, as Krishna says, 4.6, 4.7, 4.5, 4.6 in Bhagavad Gita, the body is eternal, for Devatas is temporary. Concluding this discussion on subject of Krishna and Devatas, what is the difference between worshipping Krishna and Devata? So this is the subject matter of 9th chapter, the last 10 verses. Now we are coming to those sequence of verses. You can read those verses. I've given in a question answer format now. What is the difference between worshipping Krishna? And this is Krishna speaking in Bhagavad Gita. Krishna gives what we need. Devatas give what we want. Can any one of you give an equivalent example of it? Krishna gives what we need. Devatas give what we want. Any equivalent example? Yes. Okay. Parents give what we need. Shopkeeper gives what we want. Yes or no? I remember I had gone to my friend's home many years ago, Bangalore, but this incident is snapped onto my consciousness. And I was in engineering college second year, and this my friend of mine, he had a younger brother who was in 9th standard. It just so happened I came out of the house and I was just walking across the street, and also I saw this young guy. He was from a very rich family, a little spoiled. I saw this young guy pulling down his car, getting out of the car, entering the shop, and asking a shopkeeper for a cigarette thing. Because I was very sensitive to this, I felt a little hurt. I went inside. The moment shopkeeper took out and gave him the cigarette packet, I a little bit screamed at the shopkeeper. I said, "Don't you know there is a law that kids below certain age should not smoke? Why are you giving this?" And he very bluntly told me, "ये मेरा business नहीं है. अपना business, पैसा दो, सामान लेके जाओ." So there is no give and take concern. So, but parents, can you go and ask parents for smoke? No, they'll say that's not good. We'll give you what you need, not what you want. Now, if I say, Krishna, aham bija pratah pitaha. He is our father. And Devatas, The system for the balance in this world is created such a way we serve devtas, devtas being pleased by our service, they serve us back by providing what we want. It's a give and take relationship. But that is not in the case of parent relationship. Alright? Only Krishna can award liberations, devtas cannot do the same. First canto Srimad Bhagavatam mentions, whoever died in the battlefield looking at the face of Krishna, they all attained moksha. In fact, when Hiranyakashipu or Ravana, etc., they worship Brahmaji, they all ask for, eternal life, make us immortal. And what did Brahma said? Although he is the one who has the longest lifespan, he said, even I do not have eternal life. So how can I make you eternal? And they all died eventually. Differences. So criteria, what is the motive? Approaching Krishna, generally our motive is we want to love and serve. But when it comes to devatas, it is always our desires. We all go to them with a whole list of our desires. Do this, do that. How many of you would agree yes? And we all have done that because that's what we were trained up into. Our prayers also that we sing, artis that we sing, even artis represent the same sense. Dhan sampati ghar aave, Jai Jagadish Hare, Om Jai Jagadish Hare. What are you saying? Jai Jagadish Hare, Balle Balle, as long as Dhan Sampati ghar aave. ओम जय जगदीश हरे पहले नहीं बोला है धन संपत्ति घर आवे तब ओम जय जगदीश हरे have you noticed पहले धन संपत्ति घर आवे then we would say om jai jagdish hare. We could have said at least some desire of service is there, om jai jagdish hare, regardless of dhan sampati ghar aave na aave. So then it is some sense of bhakti. But first our terms and condition meets, then we say Om Jai Jagdish Hare. Even the prayers that we sing are filled with this kind of mundane desires. And we have grew up in an environment. So this is how relationships are. And you serve them, they serve you back. This is all the system. This is called as yajna. Technically this is called as yajna. Lord Shri Krishna, 3rd chapter, verses 11 to 14 explains this concept. What do they grant? What you need, parents. And devtas, what you want, shopkeeper. Blessings, eternal. And the blessings of devtas, as long as you have this body, you have the blessing. That's the point, temporary. So why is devta worship recommended in the scriptures if it is temporary? An answer is very simple. Just like, I'm pretty sure all of you would have sat in a train, on a plane, there are always different classes of, you can say, bogies. Sleeper class, 3rd AC, 2nd AC, 1st AC. And then in planes also you have business class and normal seats. Then you have window seats, etc. Depending on your ability to comprehend and to, whatever your capacity. Somebody has enough wealth, he can purchase 1st AC ticket or business class. So point is, not everyone will fit into one box. Based on our different desires, different likings, we'll approach different individuals. Even if you look back in our own country's political arena, despite of who does good and bad, there would always be people who would vote for some party here, some party there. Because everyone have their own agenda, isn't it? Therefore, just to bring and give everyone some sense of shelter and that recognition that there is somebody superior to you. Even Ravana, Hiranyakashipu had to perform severe austerity to get their blessings. That demigod worship or devta worshippers have been established to fulfill our different desires. If somebody wants a good husband, approach this. Somebody wants a good wife, approach this. Want wealth, go to Lakshmi. Want knowledge, go to Mother Saraswati. Want strength, go to Hanumanji. Like we have, different personality who we approach for different wishes. If in case you're aware of this. Is devta worship condemned in scriptures? No. It is not at all condemned. In fact, Krishna tells in Bhagavad Gita, I only have created this system. So that people who cannot come to me, at least they can go and approach somebody and get their desires fulfilled. Next, is it practical to worship all the devtas independent of Krishna? How many and who all would you worship? There are 330 million devtas. The moment you worship one, other might feel. Atho athati jigyasu jnani cha bharata sabha. Yes, akama sarva kamova moksha kama udaridi. You have desires, you're free from all material desires, you want moksha. In whatever situations of life you are, you can approach Krishna. Now, when we approach, for example, all of us have been through college life, and we know how college life is. If in case you're living in hostel, days would pass by. I'm not saying for ladies, but I can say for men. Days would pass by where the son, I'm not saying everyone, generalizing, but I'm saying sometimes the son may not call his mother and father. But when he's out of pocket money, then he would call mother and father. Would father say, "अरे, 2 हफ्ते से याद नहीं किया, नहीं दूंगा." Father would still give. So he wants money, he goes. He needs medical help, he goes to parents. So, I mean, whatever we need, whom do we go? Scripture says, go to your eternal mother and father, Shri Radha Krishna or Lakshmi Narayan. Yes, we can do that. Would the Devtas get angry and punish me if I divert my attention to serving Krishna? How many of you would have this kind of a question? Prabhu, अगर मैं सबको हटाकर साइड में रख दूं और सिर्फ भगवद गीता के अनुसार परम पिता कृष्ण को मैं स्थापित कर दूं, तो क्या दूसरे थोड़े गुस्सा होंगे? कितनों के मन में ये चिंता है? जरा हाथ खड़ा करें। अगर आप घर में पूजा पाठ करते हैं, raise your hand. How many of you feel little worried about it that they will get upset? हाथ खड़ा करो, तो शर्माओ नहीं। लोग तो ऐसे शर्मा रहे हैं, मतलब पूजा पाठ करना अच्छी बात है। Don't shy about it. Raise your hand high up. Some of you raised. All right. So what do you think possible answer could be? If you want more answer, read the last 10 verses of last 10 verses. Actually, these are few set of verses. Last 10 verses, I'm sorry, they're a different subject. What happens in Krishna's Devta's relationship? If you look at historically any incident and any example, it only shows when Devtas got to know that now such and such devotee of mine is worshipping the Lord, he in fact became extremely pleased. Example comes of Jada Bharat, who was a great devotee of Lord Vishnu or Krishna. And he was captured by some dacoits to be offered in sacrifice in Kali worship. It is mentioned when he was about to be sacrificed, he was such an advanced devotee, Kali manifested herself and she killed all her followers who were trying to offer this devotee in sacrifice to please her. There are many examples like this. So, Devtas are pleased. There is no incident of Devtas becoming angry. You may say, Prabhuji, what about Indra? Well, the Lord performed that whole Leela just to humble Indra. Because Indradev had become too attached to his position as the king of all the Devtas. Because of that pride and arrogance, Lord wanted to humble him. That's the reason that the whole pastime was performed. So the conclusion is of this series of verses that we read from 9:20 onward is Krishna is the supreme object of worship. That is Guhyatama. Guhya, Guhyatara and Guhyatama, like that. And coming to the conclusion of this chapter, where after describing all this, Lord Shri Krishna now glorifies devotional service. So we said Guhya means you're not the body but spiritual. Guhyatara, understanding the opulences of Krishna. Krishna is the Supreme Personality. But what is the most confidential knowledge that has been described in the last 8 verses of the 9th chapter? 9th chapter is the most important chapter, is the middle chapter of Bhagavad Gita where Bhakti is glorified. How it is glorified, let's take a look at it. And we'll conclude with this discussion. Lord Krishna says, there is nothing as easy as Bhakti. So easy that if you even offer me a leaf or a flower, I am happy. No demands. And Krishna says, please repeat very famous verse, Patram pushpam phalam toyam yo me bhaktya prayachati tad aham bhakti upahratam ashnami prayatatmanaha. Patram pushpa phala. Toya means water. If you offer me a leaf, flower, fruit, and water. And you can very well take it from your neighbor's garden also, no problem. I'm just joking, don't do that. I mean to say, that simplest of all, which is provided by Krishna himself in the nature. Krishna says, if you offer me with bhakti, devotion means affection, I will accept it. I'll be all happy. Nothing. Now, do you think it can be done by anyone and everyone? Even the richest to the richest and the poorest of poorest. Therefore, Krishna says, Bhakti is so simple. Anyone and everyone can practice it at any point of time. One who loves Krishna will give him what he wants and avoid undesirables. So, what should one offer? Many times people ask this question. So, Krishna makes it very clear in Bhagavad Gita. It is only vegetarian diet. And then Acharyas further expand this idea based on Upanishadic verses where onion, garlic, and other things are also not allowed because it makes us habituated, addicted. Tea, coffee, all those kind of things. And even for vegetarian diet, Krishna in 3rd chapter, 13th verse, Yagna Shishta Shanha Shanto Muchante Sarva Kilbhishaha. Those of you who have book, you can take a look at it. 3:13, Krishna says, even vegetarian diet becomes sinful if it is honored without offering it in a yajna. Which means without offering it to the Lord, if it is accepted, even a vegetarian diet, we incur sin. That is a Vedic way. And this is Bhagavad Gita making a point. 3rd chapter, 13th verse, Krishna himself saying. So, idea is just prepare a plate, offer it to the Lord. Depending your level of faith and devotion, you can wait in the beginning for 3 minutes. You can wait for 5 minutes. Ideal is 15 minutes because we also take at least 15 minutes to eat, isn't it? You know. So if not, depending your time, you can start with 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 7 minutes, 9 minutes. At least offer to the Lord. I promise you, you would not have ever eaten such a delicious food. So much so, you will lick your own fingers, doubting yourself. Maine banaya? And I've had that experience. My meal in the afternoon during my college days was standard item pulav. And this is just a few months down the line. And I just learned कि okay, ऐसे offer करा जाता है like this while reading Bhagavad Gita. So I said, okay, I'll offer. And I offered it also with a wrong prayer. It was not the right prayer. I had offered it. And it was for the first time I prepared a pulav without onion. Garlic was never in our family culture, but onion was there. So pulav with onion was the favorite item. If in case you have been eating some kind of thing made of onion. It was a big breakthrough for me to prepare pulav without onion. And it was the best pulav I ever eaten. I'm not saying I'm a good cook. That's not the idea. Definitely not. But that was the best. And that gave me faith when I was a student. You know, you were running around, you're a research student, you know, then you have to maintain some cleanliness standard. That gave me such a faith that every meal before I will honor it, I will offer it with the hope, अच्छा बना होगा. You know, भगवान magic show करेंगे, कुछ अच्छा हो जाए करके. And our cooking was very simple. Add everything, and you know, आबरा का डाबरा, आंखें बंद करके मसाला डाल दो, और ढक्कन बंद करो, निताय गौर हरि बोल, सीटी लग गई, बस खोलो खा लो. नो आइडिया ऑफ कि नमक कितना डालना है, लाल मिर्ची कितनी डालनी है, कुछ लॉजिक नहीं. बस डिब्बा लो, टुक 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 स्प्रिंकल करो, जो मन में आया, स्फूर्ति, सेल्फ इंस्पायर्ड. And this was a special one. So I have personally experienced it, tried out. Does Krishna eat? Yes, why not Krishna eat? Krishna eats. There are many examples, I'll move forward. But yes, Krishna eats. Then Arjuna pondered. He said, my dear Lord, what should one do if he is not able to perform pure devotional service? Because he said, bhakti. What if one is not able to, you know, doesn't have that, you know, bhakti or affection for you? What should one do? Krishna said, all right, if you cannot offer me with bhakti, at least do it as a part of rules and regulation. And then Krishna says this very famous verse, Yat karosi yad ashnashi yat chuhosi dadasi yat yat tapasyasi kaunteya tat kurishva mad arpanam. Tat kuroshi, whatever you do it as an offering to me. Juhosi dadasiyas, whatever you honor, just offer it first to me and have it. Yet tapasyasi, whatever tapasya you perform, do it in for my sake. And kurushvama darpanam, whatever charity you offer, do it in service of me. This is called as nishkam karma yoga. So whatever religious duty, do it for Krishna. Whatever you eat only prasadam. Charity to help Krishna consciousness. Austerity, increasing our chanting of the holy names of the Lord. And what will be the result if you follow these rules and regulations also? Even this much, even if you don't have bhakti, Krishna says you will attain freedom from all states of misery. Comes by connecting our activities with the Supreme Lord. The moment we connect ourselves, just like this tube light over here, it's just like as much as all the other tube lights, but because it is either disconnected or it has malfunction, although in character it is tube light as every other tube light, but it's so dull, looks lifeless. Although you may be living, or we may be living, but our connection, without our connection with the divine, that living person also looks like lifeless, dull, as much as like this tube light. That's the point over here Krishna is saying. That's the result of performing Nishkam Karma Yoga. Then Arjuna asked, my dear Lord, are you partial? Krishna said, no, I envy no one, nor I am partial to anyone. I am equal to all. But whoever renders service unto me in devotion is a friend in me. Like this. Okay, yeah. So this was the verse actually. So Krishna said, who offers service to me, they become free from Shubha, Ashubha, Phaler, from pious and impious results. Then Arjuna asked, my dear Lord, you seem to be partial. Why? Because you're setting your devotees free. What about others? So Krishna said, no. This is verse number 29. I am not partial to anyone. I am impartial. Neither I envy anyone, nor I am friend to anyone. But one who serves me lives within me, and I always lives within him. Like that. And then Krishna explains how much my affection is for devotees. Krishna says, even if one commits the most abominable action, if he is engaged in devotional service, he is to be considered saintly because he is properly situated in determination. Two quick points about it. First, somebody who is already saintly because he is engaged, how can he perform sinful activities? And if somebody performs sinful action, how can he be called as saintly? They're contradictory, isn't it? So Krishna says, well, you got to understand this. The material life is filled with so much tribulations and temptations. Even the best of the man, or the best of the character, under strange circumstances, under the influence of the material energy, can become victim at any point of time. But even being victimized, if he is fixed in his determination, he does not leave his service unto me, he is considered a man or saintly man. We know the famous pastime, I always quote in the context of Lord Shiva. When Lord Shiva saw Mohini Murti, what happened? You know the whole pastime. He ran behind Mohini Murti. Does that diminishes the character of Lord Shiva? Not at all. From mundane point of view, hey, Lord Shiva, the great renunciate, how can he chase after a lady? That's the point. So if Prakriti, material energy, decides to victimize somebody, who can withhold himself? But even if become victimized, if he fixed in his determination, Krishna says, he is to be considered saintly. How can he be considered sadhu? Arjuna asks. Because he quickly becomes righteous and attains lasting peace. Can anyone read out the first line, 931 verse? What is the first word of that? Shipram bhavati dharmatma. Shipram means very quickly. Bhavati means becomes dharmatma. He becomes righteous, attains lasting peace. What is the next line? Shipram bhavati dharmatma, shashvat shantim, and then nigachati. What is the third line? Kaunteha prati janihi name bhakta pranarshati. And then Krishna tells Arjuna, declare. Declare it boldly. Kaunteha prati janihi name bhakta pranarshati. My devoter never perishes. Arjuna said, my dear Lord, why don't you do it? Why you are asking me? Then Krishna said, Arjuna, because I may fail to fulfill my promise, but I will never fail to fulfill the promise of my devotee. And you will see this in the Mahabharata war. Krishna gave a promise, I will not fight. And almost on every second day, Krishna protected Arjuna and Pandavas. So he broke his vows. But Krishna said, if you declare it, I would never let the words of my devotee ever prove to be false. And then finally, the last verse of 9th chapter, which is the essence of all essence. Manmana bhava madbhakto madayaji mam namaskaru. Which means, what is the goal? What is the ultimate message of Bhagavad Gita? Always engage one's mind, one's body, one's senses in the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And how do we engage? By chanting the holy names of the Lord, by serving the Lord. Just like if you see our whole program, the different devotees who prepares the bhoga, offers it to the Lord, and another set of devotees brings prasadam over here. There is another set of devotees who happily smiling on their face serves prasadam. These are all volunteers. They're nobody paid here. It's not that they're getting some salary. They all are highly accomplished engineers. Then somebody comes and does a whole setup. We have our sound and video team, all successful engineers working on big positions in IT company. They come here, does a whole sound setup, video setup, make a whole arrangement for this venue, and create all the facility for all of you. Why? Have you ever wondered? Why would they do so? These are the ways we engage ourselves in the service of the Lord. Manmana bhava madbhakto mad yaji mam namaskaru. If you have time, dedicate time. If you have money, dedicate money. And you will see our volunteers, our devotees here, bhaktas, they are dedicating their time, they're dedicating their physical comfort, they're dedicating their money to organize this program, just to create an opportunity for all of us to come and hear about Bhagavad Gita. And I really want to thank each and every one of you who are honoring this by making sure you come in time. It hurts me when I see people walking in after 8 o'clock as if this is a dinner night. They walked in for a dinner program. It's okay, but we can really respect the whole forum here when we come in time. And all of you do that week after week. So thank you so much for that, for appreciating and respecting all the effort which is put in by the team. And that is how Krishna says, one can absolve oneself in the service of Krishna by asking a simple question. How can I serve? And you can ask this question to our host. He'll tell you. All right. So with that, we conclude the 9th chapter. With that, had 34 verses, one of the most important subject matter of Bhagavad Gita. So yes, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki. Anyone has one or two quick questions on the subject matter? Yes, a mic please here.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, I have a question. We say that we go to devtas for material desires. What if we go to devtas just saying that do whatever you want? I want you to decide my next path, something like that.
Fine, that's okay. This is
mean,
all bona fide.
Is
It's
it
all-
like we can, we can surrender on to them and decide whatever they want for us?
it all matters, depends on your level of faith. Somebody has such a faith on particular devta. Krishna says in 7th chapter, even whatever devta grants and fulfills you, it happens through me only. Worshipping of your devta is nothing but an indirect worship of me. This is the subject matter, 7th chapter, verses 23 and 24, talks like that. So, in fact, Krishna says, your faith on a particular devta is also because of me, because I have given you that ability to put faith. So there's nothing wrong. Scriptures talk about it. But scriptures also says, well, you can do that. You can also go into Supreme Lord and ask for the same thing from the Supreme Lord. The advantage is one acts in the role of a parent, other acts in the role of a shopkeeper. One fulfills what you need, one fulfills what you want. What is more important, to get our needs fulfilled or wants fulfilled?
So, what I'm trying to say is, I'm not asking for something. I'm just surrendering myself.
You're not surrendering. By surrendering, you are asking, do whatever you think best for me. Are you asking or not? You're asking still. You're saying, I surrender unto you. You decide what is the best course of my action. That's what you said. You're asking. There cannot be any question of surrender without expressing what you want in that relationship. Even if you surrender, let's say mother and child relationship, by serving the child, mother gets happiness. There has to be reciprocation. A relationship means reciprocation. There is no reciprocation. What is the meaning of relationship? Would you go and tell, let's say a tree, or let's say a dead animal, I surrender? How much ever you say doesn't make a difference because there's no reciprocation. You can only surrender when there's reciprocation. And when there is reciprocation, which means there is always something what I want. If not, by default, happiness. All right? Anything else? ओके शुद्ध भक्ति की महिमा को यहीं विराम देते हैं। जगत गुरु शीला प्रभुपाद की जय।